Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. One quick update before we get into this episode, just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to make sure that you're aware of the things that are going on so you don't think that something's missing. The Claim Your Day podcast will be going to one episode a week. For the time being, I'm going to release just one episode. I have been doing two, but going to one episode will allow me the capability to develop some of these other resources and material that I know will be beneficial to you. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to one episode a week. I'll definitely give you an update if anything's are changing in the future. But for right now, it's going to be one episode a week, and that'll start next week. All right, let's dive in. Hello, my friend, and welcome. Welcome to episode 43 of the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're here and joining in. Right now, we're in the middle of a mid-year check-in series. This is the third episode in this series, so if you missed the first two, no worries. You can go back and listen to them wherever you're listening to this podcast. Do that because they lay the foundation for this mid-year check-in. Now, if you're listening to this episode a little while down the road, maybe it's a few months or a year, really doesn't matter. You can do a check-in, whether if you're in the middle of a calendar year, the middle of a month, or the middle of the week. It really doesn't matter. The point is that you are going through this process of checking in on where you're at right now while you're looking to where you want to be. That's all it is. But there are some steps that are going to help you to be more effective when you're doing your check-in. Like I said, whether if it's just a midweek check-in for some things that you wanted to accomplish that week, middle of a project, maybe it's not a specific time frame, but there's a middle of a project that you're working on and you want to see where you're at so that you can make some adjustments so you can finish well, or if you are in the middle of the year. Those different times are less important than the fact that you are doing this check-in. Today we're diving into reigniting your vision, making these adjustments, so that you can create a powerful second half. And that's what I want you to do. Now, I want you to imagine, think about this. You know where you are right now. You know what's working. And now you're ready to reignite that vision so that you can create this powerful plan to get on track or to stay on track with where you want to go. Doesn't that sound great? Well, that's what this episode's all about. It's going to build on the foundation we laid with the first two episodes. So I want you to think about someone who has a goal, and that goal has become a little bit overwhelming. They're starting to feel overwhelmed, and this can be because the goal's so big, or maybe they're a little bit off track. But after checking in to see where they're at and making some slight adjustments, they begin to see that goal that they have is manageable, it's possible. And with seeing that possibility, with feeling that it's manageable and they can do it, they become more motivated and begin to make progress again. That's it. That's the benefit of this episode, and where we're looking at is that it's about making those adjustments, but when you see those adjustments and you see that new plan, you begin to know that it is manageable for you to achieve. You can do it. You can do it. And a little bit of that belief leads to some motivation, and we'll always take that motivation. We don't need it. We can make progress. We can take steps. We can take action without that feeling of motivation. But if you can add in that feeling of motivation, by all means, let's do it. So the question I have for you right now is, do some of your goals feel a little bit out of reach? Or maybe you feel a little bit off track? Or have new priorities emerged? Have you ever been working towards something and then along the way you realize that there's nothing wrong with that goal, but you just have some different priorities? We got to take all those things into account. And this mid-year check-in is a great opportunity for you to, adjust the goals, adjust the plan, refine some strategies, and to really create a renewed sense of purpose and direction. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, today, in this episode, I got 3 main points for you. as I do in just about every episode, right? But the first one, it's all about intentionality. And I'm a huge fan of John Maxwell, one of the John Maxwell certified uh, coaches, trainers, and he really talks a lot about intentionality. He's got a whole book about intentional living. One of the laws of personal growth is the law of intentionality. And with that, there's a huge importance on having a clear plan and making deliberate choices to achieve your goals. It's not about being perfect or having a crystal ball, but it's about being intentional. It's about knowing where you want to go, knowing where you're at, and knowing how you're going to try to get there. Now, I say try to get there because no one has a crystal ball, and so sometimes you do have to make adjustments, which is exactly what we're talking about in this mid-year check-in series, making those adjustments. John Maxwell has a great quote. If you don't have a plan, you become a part of someone else's plan. So you do have to have a plan. I've always been an advocate of saying writing your goals in pen, but your plan in pencil. You can still plan things out by being intentional and planning them out, but just know that you might have to make the adjustments to them. That's really the first point. The first insight is being intentional in creating a plan. Right now, we're talking about adjusting that plan. Now, the second point I have for you is another big John Maxwell teaching, and this is all about kind of evaluating your goals and your dreams. I want you to take a minute and revisit your goals. Revisit your goals that you have for this year. Think about what you wanted to accomplish this year. Maybe at the beginning of the year, you were looking at the whole year and wanted to set some goals or even some New Year's resolutions, maybe. I want you to revisit those. Think about those in your mind again. See them with some fresh eyes from where you're at right now. And I have a few questions that will really help you to evaluate those goals. Is that goal still relevant and aligned with your values? Is it still relevant? Sometimes you got to change goals. Life happens. Maybe you set a financial goal that was slightly ambitious, but then life hits you and it might be out of reach right now. So you might have to adjust it and still setting a financial goal for yourself, but you might have to adjust it so it's possible. Whatever the goal is for you, or maybe you had a health goal and you were on a training regimen, but you got injured. Heaven forbid. I'm not wishing that on you. I'm just saying, is the goal that you originally set still relevant? Now, is it still aligned with your values? Have some things come up where you need to shift your focus and honor your true values? You're going to have to change that goal. All right, so that's kind of the first question. It's a little two-parter. The second one I have for you is that goal clear and well-defined. Clear and well-defined. Maybe you set a goal originally and it was a little vague. You can't hit a foggy goal. You'll always miss. It's like, what was that? Zig Ziglar would say, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. Well, the same thing is true for a foggy goal. If it's not clear, then you're not going to be able to hit it. So is that goal clear and well-defined? And do you believe it is achievable? You ask yourself, do I truly believe it's achievable? Not easy, but is it possible? Now, I want to ask you one last question. Answer this for yourself. What steps are going to be required for you to get there in the next 6 months? What steps are going to be required for you to achieve that goal by the end of the year? This is a goal that you had for this year, then, you only got a few more months left. So what's it going to take? Really think through that. Is that goal still relevant? And applicable for where you're at right now? Is it clear? Is it possible? And what's it going to take to get there? What's it going to take to make it happen? Work through these questions, and that's going to help you to evaluate that goal and evaluate from where you're at right now. See, in the last episode, we talked about, that really checking in and having some of that self-awareness for where you're at. That's huge. So we're building on that, and now you're looking at from where you're at right here, what's it going to take for you to get from where you're at to where you want to be by the time you want to be there. And the third point, so those are the first two. The first one, it's all about just reiterating. You've heard me say it, but I can't say it enough because it is so important. It's about being intentional and making that plan and choosing what you do. It's all about intentionality. The second one is those questions, really testing and evaluating those goals and those dreams that you have for where you're at. And the third point is be willing to make these adjustments. It's okay to modify and even pivot some. Don't allow yourself to be so stuck where you're at. I'm going to say this, and it might hurt some feelings, but it's true. Don't allow yourself to be so prideful that you will not allow yourself to adjust. Just because you need to make adjustments doesn't mean there's something's wrong with you. It means you're human. It means that you're not perfect. It means that you got off track and you just got to make some adjustments. That's it. Sometimes people want to stick to what they've said or what they've been doing so much because they might feel that by owning that they have to get back on track or they have to make some adjustments or do something different, that something's wrong with them. No. Own the fact that you're human and be willing to make adjustments. It's the willingness to change and adjust that's going to help lead you to achieving your goals and where you want to go. It's that willingness. If you're so set in your ways that you will not allow yourself to adjust, then you won't be able to make any improvements. You won't be able to achieve these goals because life's going to happen. You're going to get knocked off track a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of grace. Own the fact that you're human. Own the fact that you got to make this adjustment and then do it. As I often say, one of the greatest things about a GPS, it's not the initial directions that it gives you. It's that when you miss that turn, when you get off track, when a detour happens or traffic happens, is that it provides a new route and it adjusts the path so that you can keep making progress, so that you can ultimately get to your goal, even if the path to get there was a little bit different. I think it's one of the best things about GPS, and I want you to consider applying it for where you're at right now. So this third point is there is power in adjustments. It's okay to modify. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to adjust that plan and even adjust those goals if needed. Look, you can be adaptable and you can pursue your purpose, fulfilling your potential. These things are huge. This is what life is about. It's about making these adjustments to things that when life happens, when life comes our way, it's about making these adjustments so that you can continue to live your best life, fulfilling your purpose, living intentionally and living out your values, having the impact that you want. But if you're not checking in to seeing what adjustments need to be made and then be willing to make those adjustments, if you're not doing those things, then you're not going to really live your potential. You can't because you're not perfect and you don't have a crystal ball. That's the truth. But since you're not perfect, just like me, since you don't have a crystal ball, just like me, then what you do is you keep checking in with yourself to see where you're at and where you want to go. And you keep making adjustments, just like that GPS that's going to lead you to that destination that you want to get to. Just like that, you keep making adjustments on the way, and that way you can keep making progress. Be willing to adjust those plans, demonstrate that you're adaptable. Continue to commit to living out your purpose and living intentionally. So here's the quick review. Just a quick recap. Check in on your goal. Review that goal for what goals you originally set. Review them. Ask yourself some of those questions that we went over. Make sure they're what you want. They're still relevant. They're still aligned. Whatever adjustments you need to make, go ahead and go through those questions and review that goal. Then Consider those adjustments. Really detail out what adjustments you're going to need to make so that you can achieve those goals by the time you want to achieve them, by that deadline you set for yourself, and then make those adjustments. So you're going to review the goal. You're going to lay out those changes and adjustments you need to make. You're going to make those adjustments. Based on that review, adjust and refine. Create a better plan, hone it, polish it, so that this second half of the year can truly be the best that it can be to help you lead you towards your goals. And write them down. Write down these adjustments that you're making. There's power in writing. So write them down. And then go ahead and identify the 1 or 2 key actions that you're going to take this month. Go ahead and prioritize those adjustments so that you can identify 1 to 2 key actions you're going to take this month to begin to develop that momentum back on track, leading you to where you want to be for this year. Sound good? Look, you can do this, my friend. You can do it. I know you can. It's not fun checking in because then we always kind of see where we're at, where we got off track. But a simple, honest review while giving yourself some grace, no judgment, no criticism, that's not helpful. A simple, honest review. A lot of power in it. The more honest you get, sometimes the more grace you need to give yourself. The less criticism you have and judgment you have, the easier it's going to be for you to be honest. And honesty, from where you're evaluating, honesty is far more important than any of those other things. Because the more honest you get for where you're at or where you got off track or the adjustments you need to make, it's going to give you more valuable feedback so you can actually achieve those goals. A whole bunch of criticism and judgment, that's never going to help you to get anywhere. In fact, it's only going to hold you back. So get really honest. Evaluate your goals and your vision. Evaluate where you're at and set that clear plan for the second half. You can do it, my friend. This is your opportunity to regain control, get back on track, and to move forward with some renewed focus, energy, motivation, so that you can ultimately achieve your goals and live your best life. Let's start by living your best year today. So review those goals, my friend, and create that new plan for the rest of this year and the specific things you're going to take action on this month. You can do it. It'll pay dividends, and that's how you're going to claim your day, my friend. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're joining in. Take some action. Follow through on some of these things. It's all for you. And as always, you can go to nickmazey.com for some more resources or to listen to episodes, read the show notes. Got some things there for you to help you to become more intentional as well. And please rate and review this podcast. It helps sharing it with other people so that more people can find it. All right. Thanks for listening. Take care. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode.